Hi, today, coming from the wellspring of the electric universe, as always, our topic is sound. In our last pod, we talked about the sacredness of breath, and we touched briefly on how sound, sacred breath, the sacredness of our breathing carries sound. But today we're opening the subject up into sound and cymatics. So sound is carried on breath, and the voice projects on the breath and is a very charismatic force. People actually can't get enough of listening to it, either via instrument or via the human voice in song, and song at the moment is particularly prolific. And the study of cymatics is something that Joe is going to explain now.
Okay, cymatics it's a study of sound. Now, what they do, it's very simple. It's like a microphone, but instead of the sound going into the microphone, it goes out. And there's a plate that collects the sound, and you spread salt, sugars on this plate, and you will see geometric shapes form as the frequency changes. The geometric shapes will change with it.
Yeah, so are you saying that the geometric shapes are kind of echoing something that the sound is conveying? Or are you saying that if one was missing, like the sound was missing, the geometric shape would be a life force of its own?
Well, it's always changing. It's a constant nonetheless, but it's always changing.
So do you think the geometric shape demonstrates, scientifically, does it demonstrate the power of sound?
It's not so much a power, it's more
a force.
Because of the geometric shapes and the symmetry that it holds. Different sounds, different frequencies can connect with others.
Well, I'm asking why the necessity to... Is it just a kind of thing that is interesting to look at, or is it... I'm asking what the necessity is to prove it in this sugar and salt demonstration.
Well, the idea is at the centre of this earth itself is a cymatic process.
Like the sound.
Yes. Now, the centre of the earth, it produces a sound at 9.6 hertz, if I can remember correctly. And what this sound does is actually, it naturally heals us. We connect with that sound, and our body responds by healing itself. Now, because of the electromagnetic interference that we have in our society nowadays, i.e. phones, computers, electricity cables running all over the place, the earth can't truly express itself. Now, this sound that it produces extends beyond the surface of the earth and now into outer space. Now, you think about all the satellites that are up there beaming away with their own little frequencies, and it's all over the planet. Telephone calls going all around the world all at once. This makes like a grid around the earth. And it can't really talk properly, it can't express itself. So this is one thing we need to, for me, I think we need to change, because we're destroying ourselves slowly but surely.
That grid is part of the ring past knot that we, and heavy frame of the work that we talked about in Thought and Mentality in that podcast, isn't it?
That's right, yeah.
So you're saying it's made of frequency, which is actually anti-sound, or it's the antithesis of sound.
It's interference, basically. It's like when you're tuning in the radio and you get that over the sound, over the song. That's interference.
That's a frequency, which is a separate force from sound, isn't it? Then, because if you've got
sound can obtain any frequency.
Yes, so then that's what I'm saying. So in a way, there's good sound and bad sound.
Oh yes, the sound of the universe is not here just for us. It's here for everything and everyone.
So do you think the sound as a vehicle in which a word is conveyed is more powerful than the word? I'm thinking particularly here about, say, swearing or using very deleterious words. If they're said in a good tone, do you think that offsets the damage of the word? Is the sound of something superior to the meaning?
I think intensity comes into play here.
Okay.
If someone screams and shouts at you and it's loud, it's intense.
Even if they're using perhaps seemingly nice words, if that sound is abrasive, then it counteracts.
It counteracts.
So in actual fact, then the answer is yes, sound is superior to the meaning of a word.
Yes.
The semantic.
Yeah.
So sound is more superior than semantic, or is superior to semantics.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so.
Right, very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I'm asking why the necessity to... Is it just a kind of thing that is interesting to look at, or is it... I'm asking what the necessity is to prove it in this sugar and salt demonstration.
Well, the idea is at the centre of this earth itself is a cymatic process.
Like the sound.
Yes, and it generates the shape.
Right,
Of
absolutely.
this earth. Not every planet is round, yes, but it has a vibration.
Yeah, because in the East they have things called yantras, which can be seen as well as spoken. A mantra is something that you say, and a yantra is something that you I think, if I'm right here, you look at the same time as you're saying.
Right.
So this is the same thing that you're describing.
I suppose it would be like a visual understanding with the sound.
Yes, that's it, a visual understanding with the sound. So this is bringing two of the senses together then, isn't it? Because it's bringing the sense of hearing and the sense of vision. Yeah,
well, cymatics is more of a study of sound, but the results that you actually, or what happens as it's playing the sound,
yes,
helps you understand what the sound's actually doing.
Is it kind of the fact that cymatics, these demonstrations of frequency moving shape, in a way proves that sound exists? I mean, we know that sound exists, but if we didn't have the facility of hearing, we'd have to look at something which would prove the ultimate of what sound was doing.
Well, sound only exists in the air because the air, it travels along the air.
And so we're back to the breath again.
And we're back to the breath.
We're back to the breath carrying this force or this power, which we like to call sound. And more is going on there. As we said in the last pod, more is going on when we inhale than we imagine. More is being taken in.
A lot more. Even when we listen to someone. If someone's shouting at you,
yes,
you feel down. If someone's praising you, you feel up.
And it's a tone of voice as well you use, and the tonal inflection of sound or language or something conveyed to the ear has got to be everything. I mean, I know it's true that I have been reliably informed that in the Second World War the Nazis changed the concert pitch to distort the harmonics, which would then give a very discordant atmosphere or influence.
It takes us away from what we should naturally hear. A cello, for instance, is probably one of the most natural sounds to come from any instrument. The natural sine wave, which travels everywhere. It is absolutely everywhere.
Well, it's said that the violin is the nearest vibration to the human soul, isn't it? The sound it makes.
Yeah, the cello.
Unless it's played discordantly again.
Well, again, if you ever hear it screech or someone's just practicing the cello, it sounds terrible. But when someone's playing it nicely and softly, it sounds nice and warm. So
it has a good. It extends a good feeling factor to things. So the relevance of sound through the throat chakra to any individual then is very important. This is why people chant, humming, chanting, and generally enforcing, if that's the right word, the breath to take life, and for the ear to hear that the breath can take life or can take the air, I think is something that is massively liberating. And this is why people are encouraged to sing or to firstly because that's an individual liberation when you sing, or when you encourage the power of the voice, when you project the voice. And secondly, because if it's done in group, it's a very uniting thing.
It is,
It's a very comforting thing. And if you think about hymns or litanies or whatever you might call them, that have always been used in spiritual practices.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not. It's like you say, the Tibetan bowls.
Oh,
sometimes
yes.
you can meditate to these, and it's just one frequency.
Well, people have whole experiences to gongs. They bathe in the sound of gongs and bowls.
That's it.
And it cleans the aura.
That's it.
It's sound, and it's sound and light and form, isn't it? Which is the root of shamanic healing.
Yeah.
And that's the root of modern kinesiology, kinesiology for well-being uses that as well. But sound, yeah, I think that if people want to discover their own power through sound, what would you say is the best thing for them to do?
Study sounds, what the frequencies mean. For example, 5 to 8 hertz is the universal. This is universals. It's a universal sound of love. And when I say love, it's not
romantic.
It's
love.
not romantic love. It's what binds everything together.
Yeah.
It's what
it's universal love, isn't it?
This is it. This is the idea.
Or it's divine love, really.
Well, it keeps everything together. So that's just one part of it.
It keeps, because you can hear the world. You can hear the universe hum. Hence the on.
Yeah.
You can hear this humming. It is said, if you reach a certain point or frequency within meditation.
If you learn to accept that sound, yes. But today we are not educated about it at all in the West.
No, we're not in the West. It's a very Eastern study.
Yeah, very Far East as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. But the breath and the sound. So what we're trying to convey is that the sound. We begin with the breath, and we may end with the sound, if you like. Not that it ever ends, but the sound is the other polarity from the breath.
Well, the breath. If you learn to breathe properly, you'll always make the sound properly.
Yes. Whether it's a word or.
It doesn't necessarily mean that if you make the sound properly, it means you're breathing properly. So I think the breathing is something that it comes first.
Oh, the breathing definitely comes first, but the sound is the ultimate, surely, of the expression of the breath in some way.
That's the final thing. That's the result of.
Yeah. Okay. All for today on the Electric Universe. Thank you.